No text. Where we have a quorum, we will start. I would like to welcome everyone to today's meeting. And at 4:02, this meeting is called to order. Please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One point two, adopt the agenda. Is there a motion
I'll move to adopt the agenda as posted.
and a second?
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Jerry,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
and I also agree. Motion carries. Moving on to 2.1, student presentations from our Willow Creek Center. The fun part.
It's all.
That's true. You're right. Adopting warrants and payroll is exciting.
Yeah, that's what Carol said.
Hi, Sarah. We see you and we are ready for your students to present.
Fabulous. We just lost contact with you guys right when it was about to be our turn, but now we're here.
Perfect, thank you.
Hello, my name is Legend. My name's Wilder.
And today we are going to share some of our self-portraits that we did at the beginning of the year. And so I'm actually going to switch over to our document camera so you can see them a little bit better. And Sterling's going to start by sharing his. And
Oops. They're calling me out.
One.
Sarah, I think the document camera is
One of
too
my
much for the connection.
classes self-portraits.
See, even our panel is. Now it's.
They just logged out. Oh, here they come again. Sarah, I don't know if you can hear us, but I think the document
This is also-
camera is
this is
too
one of my
much for your
classmates.
connection.
can you guys still hear us?
Now we can, but we couldn't before.
Yeah, we've been blipping in and out, so we'll keep trying. Here's
This is my math self-portrait. This is one of my classmates' self-portrait. This is also one of my classmates' self-portraits. This is my Minecraft Lego self-portrait. This is one of my classmates' Lego self-portraits. This is another one of my classmates' Minecraft self-portraits. This is one of my classmates' Lego portraits.
scripted with which is some compassionate systems. We'll go back to our camera so that you can see us, but our learning experiences and what help us enjoy school and what drain
Or muted.
I see him jumping up and down.
Sarah,
All
can
of
you hear
them.
us?
We apologize. Welcome to Willow Creek's internet issue. Yeah, can you hear us now?
Now we can.
Welcome to Willow Creek's internet challenges. It's real, it's unstable. So we shared some of our self-portraits. I'll try to scan those in so that you guys can see the pictures of them. And then one of the other things that our class did upstairs was we did a stock and flow from the compassionate systems. And we talked about what we feel like makes a successful learning experience and what helps us enjoy school. And so I'm gonna have Wilder's going to read a few of the things that help fill our successful learning experiences and enjoy school.
Topics I am interested in: good snacks, friends, greetings, animals, reading, music, art, new topics, field trips, and encouragement.
And then we talked about some of the things that drain us having a successful learning experience are like tests and homework and being hangry if we're stressed out or we have lack of sleep. And it was a nice discussion because we got to look at everybody's, and that was just a few from each person's, but we got to see that some people really like a quiet learning environment, and some people really like a busy learning environment, and some people like to work in groups, and some people love math, and some people math is really something that drains their learning experience. So we had a really good time with that, and that was something that we learned from compassionate systems. So
Good
we
use of
apologize
stock
that
and
you
flow.
What?
Good use of stock and flow.
Yeah, great use of stock and flow. Yay, us. So yes, thank you very much. We were excited to present our self-portraits to you. We appreciate your guys' hard work on the board.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for
Bye.
sharing.
Thank you.
Cute.
Oh.
Would one be better?
No.
I know. I thought you were in the dark for so long. Thank you, students. Moving on to the consent agenda. We have 3.1, consideration of approval of warrants and payroll for Northern United Humboldt. 3.2, consideration of approval of warrants and payroll for Northern United Siskiyou. Batch numbers 0813, 0819, 0830. 3.3, consideration of approval of minutes for the August 14th board meeting. And 3.4, consideration of resignations, hires, leaves, and change of assignments. Are there any questions or comments on any of these items? I have one, and it is regarding 3.3, the minutes under the board report. I just want to clarify, it says here that Jerry was excited about the FFA advisor. Yes, he was. Then, he is looking forward to the in-person meeting in October over in Siskiyou.
You know what? It is Humboldt. And that's so funny because we actually had a conversation about this.
Really?
Yeah, we did. But I didn't pick it up on the minutes. For whatever reason, Linda thought she heard Siskiyou. And so she said, oh, are we really going over to Siskiyou? I said, no, we're Humboldt, but it didn't register on me that it was.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll correct that.
Well, let's see. Jerry, do you remember what you said?
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Well,
You maybe didn't even say. you might not have said the location, you might have just said us all being together or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
or, having the folks from Siskiyou, come and visit us.
Yeah, but
And,
we'll make that connection.
uh, if there are no other questions or comments, is there a motion?
And since we don't have you sign,
Oh.
but since that's the third page, it won't affect us changing this.
That, okay,
Mhm.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
is there a second?
I will second that, but you have to say that you have to put the
With the
corrected
correction.
minutes. To make that motion,
Yeah, with the correction.
with the corrections.
I move to approve the consent agenda with the correction to 3.3, the minutes.
And I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Jerry,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
and I also agree, motion carries. Moving on to 4.1, comments by the public. Under this item, the public is invited to address the board regarding items that are not on today's agenda. Please keep your comments concise, brief, and limited to 3 minutes. The board is not allowed under the law to take action on matters that are not on the agenda. Should comments from the public pertain to a charge or complaint against an employee of Northern United Humboldt Charter School or Northern United Siskiyou Charter School, the board encourages the speaker to utilize the school's written complaint procedures to pursue the matter. The public will have an opportunity to comment on all agenda items as those items are heard. Do we have any public comments? Right, hearing none, we will move on to 5.1, approval of the 2024-25 annual goals.
All right, well, as you guys saw in your packet, I changed updated the draft form that you had last month because I gave you like options or whatever last month, and we talked about it, and so these were the ones that we had settled on, but I changed the format just a smidge. I added this logo. I don't think we had talked about this last month at all. So this was actually Rebecca's brilliant idea. And then Melody created this logo, which is just so neat because I think we mentioned last month how basically our 3 goals have kind of been like, the first one's been an academic one, then there's been like a social emotional one, and then there's been a community one. And that has just been our focus. Those 3 things are our focus, and those things are probably going to be our focus for a long time. And so with that in mind, I think it was the admin team had a meeting where we all got together and kind of brainstormed this and grouped all of kind of the initiatives, the things we've been working on over the last few years into those kind of 3 broad categories. And from that, that's what we gave to Melody, and she created this little, logo design. And so yes, like a Venn diagram kind of, and in the center is our logo and a student there. But you can see like, the only thing I added from our discussion, other than this picture, is I put those words, academic rigor, social emotional learning / community and community, in front of the goals. Those were the goals didn't change. I just added those words so that you could kind of see how they relate to this little picture, this image. And then under those headings in that logo, it's probably kind of hard to read because it's a little bit small, but that's where we listed all of kind of the initiatives we've been working on and what heading they go under. For example, PBIS or our new social emotional curriculum is Character Strong. Those things are under social emotional learning. Academic rigor, our academic goal, what we put in AVID and college and career readiness. These are the kinds of things that we've been working on. And so we just grouped them in a way that we felt like made sense. And this was kind of our theme for Fall Summit. We presented this and just talked about the idea of how all of these things we've been doing, how they're all related and connected. And I think we felt like this image really did a good job of kind of showing all that. So that's why I thought, I'm gonna put that on these goals so that you can see, the whole rationale behind these goals and all the things that we've been working on, how it all fits together. So
Kudos to Melody.
that I just added that on there, and just thought that would, I don't know, make sense to have that on the goals right now.
I like that.
And this is not, those things that we lumped in there, that we put in those circles, it's not an exhaustive list. We just put in there the things, kind of the major, like, things we've been focusing on in there, but there's plenty of other things too that we do that go along with these three different kind of goals, but that was just, kind of the main ones. So I'm just asking for approval of the goals.
Are there any questions or comments for Sherry?
Yes.
Jerry?
It's interesting, so going through this page by page, and then I'm looking at the three categories, and because of what I brought up at the last meeting, how could we incorporate some of the other school programs that we've been able to put in place over the years, and so, I'm writing this down, and then I scroll to the next page and I see this, what initially struck me as, a Venn diagram. And
that was intentional. We said that when we created it, yeah.
and I think this is just outstanding. However, I would like to make a few critique suggestions.
Well, go ahead, and let me also say, like, we already found a couple typos when we presented it at Fall Summit, so we haven't corrected those yet, so this
Well,
has the typos.
I mean, I haven't picked up on the typos because I can't really see what's written in the green.
The dark green, we
And-
need more of a contrasting. color there.
And so I get it, the logo, and so the three overlapping circles
Mhm.
are utilizing colors from that.
Our school colors, yeah.
And so, just somehow tweak the green.
I think we could do white font, a white lettering, and then
You
that
could,
would
and
be
that would,
mhm. That
and then,
contrast.
Well, that would pop it,
Mhm.
yeah.
then in the lower right one where it
Mhm.
says academic rigor,
Mhm.
just,
Scooting
scroll
that over a
that
smidge.
around so that the R has more space
Yeah,
around it, so
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
I mean, I could just see this on my computer screen with,
yeah,
that arc, and then with the font, and
yeah.
I'm just moving it
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, well, that's the one that has like the typo. See how it says science and reading, and then the next one, math framework? Wait, that's not the one.
Yeah, it should.
So it should be science of reading, not science and reading.
Okay,
The science of reading is just another, like, that's kind of the latest initiative that is on the forefront of reading instruction. It's called the science of reading. It's like how our brains learn to read. And so that was supposed to be science of reading, not science and reading.
Yeah.
That was the typo.
so I would, I just experiment first, I'd put academic rigor,
Yeah.
center it
Agreed.
there.
Mhm.
And then, I was trying to enlarge more and more, and I can faintly see FFA.
Mhm.
Because, that's one of the things, I was referencing in, a tweak, and sports, obviously. So then that as encapsulates all the things I would like to see
Mhm.
as a part of that goal. And I think you've done a excellent job of incorporating the idea of our growth,
Mhm.
and it fits perfectly in community and all of that. So
You can always play with the fonts because I'm trying to do this, even when I do the moose log week, this part where the dot is would drive me crazy because it's so close to that. So to try to move that and center that more too, that would just drive me crazy.
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, well,
Space that down.
right,
Yeah.
and see,
It just would.
Yeah,
So-
that's.
right, so by moving the academic rigor around, then that would allow them to drop it like one space.
Yeah.
To get the dot off of the edge
Yeah.
of the circle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now
But
you got me going.
but,
Oh my God.
but I
You guys.
this is outstanding. I mean, you know, this
Oh, it looks good.
this
Yeah.
this lends itself to being everywhere on everything.
Well, Rebecca had several posters made and at Fall Summit gave them to Siskiyou, and Linda and I were in Siskiyou last week, and sure enough, they had it hanging up in the center. And I let her know. I maybe even, did I take a picture of it and send it to you? Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm glad you guys like it. I'm glad you guys like it.
All right, any other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
And with that, I move that we approve the 2024-2025 annual goals.
And a second?
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Jerry?
I,
Brian?
Aye.
And I also agree, motion carries. Moving on to 5.2, approval of the unaudited actuals for NU Humboldt.
Do you want to talk or do you want me to talk?
Does anybody have any questions about it? We carried over a little bit more than I had originally projected. At our latest meeting at budget adoption. But ultimately, we ended in pretty close to where we thought we would be in June.
And Brian, for your benefit,
Mhm.
you know, this is like kind of like ending, like closing out last
Right.
year. What the budget actually ended like after like all the bills have come through, because you know, by the end of the year, there may be some bills that are still coming in, you
Right.
know? So after all the like actual closing, what everything looked like. And it hasn't been audited yet. The auditor will go through this, and so that there could be, that's why it's called the unaudited actuals.
Right.
There could be some changes, but usually very, very, very minor, if any, after the auditor goes through it.
That's good.
And like Kelly pointed out, is she had them so cleaned up already. She had the budget so cleaned up that it ended up so close to what was projected anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions or comments?
And of course, this one was for Humboldt. The
Right.
next item is for Siskiyou, but it's the same
The same.
process.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move to approve the audited actuals of Humboldt County.
And a second?
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Jerry?
I,
Brian?
Aye.
And I also agree, motion carries. Moving on to 5.3, approval of the unaudited actuals for NU Siskiyou.
I just want to say one additional thing about this one. Kelly does the Siskiyou one like completely on her own. She does it all for Siskiyou. Humboldt's HCOE gives a little more support, but Kelly finished the Siskiyou one well before the Humboldt one got finished.
We also recovered all of our charter and new taxes in the Siskiyou side. So we have all of those in our ending balance and we are outstanding in cash for those districts.
Yeah. Can you, tell us what that is?
So in the previous 5 years before I got here, originally we were supposed to receive a portion of property taxes from some of our basic aid districts. And unfortunately, SCOE did not, I don't know if they didn't notice, or they weren't doing the transfer anymore to move those funds into our accounts. So when I got here last year, we reconciled, I created invoices, me and Sherry met, well, Sherry mostly met with the superintendents from the districts that had outstanding funds to us. And then I billed them, and I billed them again. And I think on our third time, we got all of them. So now we have all of those outstanding funds from our previous years.
Moving forward, or on a clean slate?
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. Are there any other questions or comments for either Kelly or Sherry? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the unaudited actuals for Siskiyou.
Is there a second?
I seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Jerry,
I,
Brian,
Aye.
and I also approve. Motion carries. 5.4, approval of NU Charter Schools Homeless Children and Youth Policy.
Right, so this is a policy that schools have to make sure, you know, to review them every 3 years, and it's been 3 years, and so there haven't been any changes to it. The last time it was updated in 2021, there were quite a few changes at that time, like the laws associated with this were updated, but there hasn't been anything since. But it is still a requirement to review it every 3 years. So there's no changes. This is the current policy. It's not any different than what we already have. But reviewing it and, you know, reapproving it every 3 years is required. So that's why this is here.
Are there any questions? Let's back it up.
I'm sorry. I just told a fib, I think,
Oh.
because there was a change. We added the Siskiyou homeless liaison. That's what it was. So there was a change. But that was the only change. Prior to, like the last time we adopted this, we had one homeless liaison for both schools. But now that Siskiyou has their own counselor, which, you know, this is their, last year they had a half-time one, now they have a full-time one. That person is the homeless liaison for Siskiyou, so that was an update. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Are there any questions or comments?
Just a question, how many homeless children do we here do we?
Sure, I don't know right now. I could get that information for you.
Yeah, I'm just
Um,
curious. I was always like to have that
It's
information.
never been a big amount. It's not a big percentage of our
Mhm.
students, but every year we definitely have some. Do you know right now what we have? I don't think I do.
wanna say 15 and
Okay.
Humboldt,
Yeah, and then
Um,
probably less in Siskiyou.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I could be totally off.
Yeah.
We ended last year with a lot. And so I might, just my mind might not
Mhm.
move forward to
Yeah.
the new school
Is
year
that
yet.
number, if that is accurate, the 15, is that a typical number?
Probably, I mean, we get a lot of high school students who couch surf
Uh-huh.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
so you know, when you
Minors.
look at all the, right, all the
Yeah.
different categories that what makes students
Right.
homeless. It, you know,
Yeah.
I think that's pretty average.
Yeah, I would think that too.
Yeah.
And we get definitely a lot of unaccompanied youth, and then also doubling up is also considered homeless. So if a family moves in with another family member, for example, that's considered homeless because the family who has the house could at any time, you know, choose to not let the other family live there, and so it's unstable housing.
And to kind of piggyback on that, we have guidelines that we have to follow and this and that, but a lot of families are doubled up because that is their culture.
Absolutely, and that's not like we wouldn't consider
Right.
that.
And the same way on this where living in a trailer park
Mhm,
and
mhm.
I think that's important also to recognize that if you live in a trailer park, you're not necessarily homeless.
Right, definitely.
Yeah.
And all schools are required to send a survey every year about, to families about like their home
Mhm,
status, if
mhm.
they are or not. And so we do that. And then, there are additional things you probably saw in the policy that schools are required to do. Everyone is required to be trained on like how to support homeless youth. Not just our liaison, but all staff that
Uh-huh.
deal with students. So anyway, there's just a variety of things that we do, bus passes and, we have so much stuff that we give, like all kinds of school supplies, all kinds of, hygiene products, all
uh-huh.
those kinds of things. Yeah,
We'll have a better number at information day.
yeah, I know, we'll have when CBEDS comes, which is
Oh,
like the
yeah.
first Monday of October or whatever it is.
First
right?
Wednesday.
First Wednesday, thank you.
October
Yeah.
2nd.
Yeah, then we'll know all of our numbers then.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll let you know.
Seabeds is something that the schools have to do every year. It's from the state and they were asking you all kinds of questions about it.
Anymore. It's not, it's information day, and then CalCAS has 3 different
Interesting.
submissions for information day.
Oh, pish posh.
Can I tell them? Our board president said, "Fish box."
She's not gonna call it information day, the dreaded seabeds.
Yeah, interesting.
Are there any other questions or comments about this?
No, that's it.
All right, hearing none, is there a motion?
I'm moved to approve the Northern United Charter School Homeless Children and Youth Policy.
And a second?
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Jerry,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
and I also agree, motion carries. Moving on to 5.5, approval of vendor services policy.
Okay, so these next two policies are second readings. You saw the first ones last month. The first one we'll start with is the vendor service policy, which had been called the tutor vendoring services policy. And so we updated it because it really had nothing to do with tutoring. And then, there were some other miscellaneous things that we updated, and we presented this last month. And this is the one that there weren't any changes to last month, right?
No, I thought this was
This is
the
the one
one
that did.
that had, the sentence change on vendor services.
Yeah, we had a long discussion about the vendor. They were talking more about.
We
just doing
did,
it
but
again.
then, what was the one change? It was the end of this.
Adding something about when, materials needed to be returned. Either at the end of the year or when the student was disenrolled.
That one's not in this policy.
Yeah, that's.
That's
No,
the,
that might be in the
that's the other one.
materials.
Yeah, it's not in
This
this.
one where they wanted to say when budget allowed.
Exactly. That was the conversation we
Yes.
had, and then we ruled that out. It's the next one where there was actually a change. So
Okay.
this is the one that had no change.
Are there any comments or questions?
No.
I have one comment that we had talked about this several meetings back, maybe last year, I'm not sure. Anyway, the second line there, the charter school receives ADA funding. Should that be spelled out for people that are not familiar?
Honestly, ADA could just be removed.
Okay,
Right? I mean, that might
Yeah.
confuse things. They just receive funding.
Funding,
for the purpose.
okay, I like that because
Yeah, absolutely.
we know what it is, but somebody else coming
Yeah.
along, Americans with disabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Average daily attendance.
Yeah, okay.
But it could just
Oh,
be
right.
funding.
That could be-
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
um,
that's true.
that would be my suggestion.
Okay,
Yeah, that's a good.
I like that.
Just like that.
Yeah,
Any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the vendor services policy
That change.
with a change, with the removal of the ADA.
I now second
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Jerry,
it. Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
And I also agree, motion carries. Moving on to 5.6, the approval of the curriculum and instructional materials policy.
Okay, again, this is the second reading, and this is the one that did have a change. And it was, it's kind of, I don't know if you can tell in your packet or not, it's lighter, it's like a lighter gray, kind of a different color. But at the bottom of the first section, so before you get to the part that says the following purchases are acceptable, the sentence above that, it says any additional instructional materials issued, approved, and purchased by Northern United Charter Schools must be represented in the learning record. That is what we changed based on the conversation we had last month. If I'm remembering right, it was Melissa's suggestion, and it was like the purchase was what was added. No, I can't remember for sure, but it was something, there was a wording in there. I think it was purchased. Maybe it was issued. I don't remember. Do you, Linda? You made the change.
I don't remember.
Yeah. But anyway, we added whatever it was that she asked for us to add.
But any comments?
Again, let's see. So it'd be page, in this, there is the use of ADA.
Yeah, second paragraph there.
Uh-huh.
So,
Again, just say funding.
yes. Because that.
Yeah.
Confusing.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's also,
Funny how we didn't even like think of that last time.
Yeah.
oh, we didn't, and it's also. It is also under criteria of materials that can be purchased with instructional funds.
Well, I think that you're looking at the old policy.
Okay,
So, remember I put in the draft, which is a one pager, and then
There
the
you go.
old one, or
Okay.
current, I should say, several
Perfect.
pages. So this one, I think that is the only place that it is, the new one.
great. Any other comments or questions? Is there a motion?
I move to approve the curriculum and instructional materials policy with the amendment striking ADA.
And a second?
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Jerry,
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
And I also agree, motion carries. Moving on to 5.7, approval of the memorandum of understanding between NU Humboldt and Siskiyou.
Okay, you guys have seen this many times now. We do this about this time every year. And just as a quick reminder, because technically Northern United Charter Schools is the entity with the nonprofit number, the federal tax ID number, and it is doing business as the two different entities, Northern United Humboldt, Northern United Siskiyou, but it's one federal tax ID number. And because of that, there are several things that we do that make it so we're looked at as one entity. For example, our food program, they base it on the one federal tax ID number. And so we have one food program. So there's several things like that. And this is another example of that, where our employees who are working for both schools, like me, like Kelly, like Linda, those of us who are working for both schools, we can't get a paycheck from two different entities with the same federal tax ID number. It would like mess up our W-2s or something, I don't know. I'm just saying words. Yeah, mess up tax
Yeah.
reporting. And so, anyway, because of that, one of the schools runs the payroll to include all of the staff that works at those schools, and then the other school reimburses them for their portion. So for example, if I'm, if 70% of my time I'm working on Humboldt and 30% of my time on Siskiyou, Humboldt pays the whole thing, and then Siskiyou reimburses Humboldt for 30% of my time. And so this MOU spells that out. And so, the MOU is, that part of the MOU is nothing new. What we added this time that is new, and all of those employees and their costs, they're all part of attachment A. The part that we added is basically the last or the third paragraph of the MOU and attachment B. You guys might remember that, I think it was last month, I mentioned that both Humboldt and Siskiyou, we got a car and a minivan. And Siskiyou has their 4 big vans, the 10 people one, passenger ones like we have here too, but they weren't using one of their big ones very much. And now that they have the minivan in the car, they didn't really need it like they had. And so, but Humboldt has a big need for it. So we brought that Siskiyou van over to Humboldt, and Humboldt is leasing it from Siskiyou. So that's what attachment B is all about, the payment. So Siskiyou will be paying Humboldt for payroll, and Humboldt will be paying Siskiyou for the lease of the van, except what we'll really have, we create invoices, Kelly creates invoices for this to happen. And so I think she'll make that work on the invoice. She'll have it as one invoice, but spell it all out.
I'll probably do the car. We have a lot of shared expenses as well that I have to bill Siskiyou for, like they have the same property and liability insurance. We have the same, we share a lot of legal fees, audit fees, all those. So we pay one check out of Humboldt and then I bill Siskiyou for their portion. I'll include the van.
Yeah. And so just to be as transparent as possible, we like to have this MOU done in a school board meeting and, signed because it affects me, signed by the board chair in addition to me, so that we're very clear about all of that.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I move to approve the memorandum of understanding between Northern United Humboldt Charter School and Northern United Siskiyou Charter School.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Jerry,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
and I also agree, motion carries. 5.8, approval of the lease of 5 Cemetery Road, Bryceland for Northern United Humboldt.
Okay, so this seems like deja vu all over again, because you guys approved this lease already, I believe in May. And very recently, we discovered an error on that lease that came to you at the board. And what it was is I attached the previous year's lease in the board packet. So in like the dates were last year's dates, with the exception of my signature date, because I got the wrong lease, signed it and put it in the packet, like got it off of my computer, off my email, grabbed the wrong one and signed it and put it in there. So same thing, this is one that there was no increase. So it was the wrong years was in the previous packet. So we wanted to bring this back to make sure you guys saw that. And then while I'm confessing on myself, I may as well confess one other thing. I did the same thing, and I don't know who none of us caught it. I did the same thing for the Fire Monkey food agreement. Same exact thing, so you're gonna see that next month.
Okay.
Again,
We're
but with
in
new
trouble now.
date. Again, no change in cost or anything like that. It was just the wrong year.
Well, thank you for owning it. Are there any questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the lease of the 5/7, the new approval of the lease of 5/7 Bay Road, Bryceland for Northern United Humboldt.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, Jerry,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
and I also agree, motion carries. 6.1, discussion of board member terms.
Okay. So, this is something that I think we started with last year, if I'm not mistaken, and that is asking at the September board meeting for those board members whose terms will end in the upcoming, in the current year, but in December, if they plan on continuing or not, because knowing now allows us a couple months to look for a new board member, starting in January, because if a board member's term ended in December and they didn't want to continue, we would need a new board member starting in January. So, this December 2024, we have 3 board members whose terms will be ending, and it's Rosemary, Jerry, and Melissa. Now, last year in September, Melissa said, I'm gonna tell you now that I'm not gonna, renew or whatever. So, and I haven't heard anything different since. She's not here tonight. So I'm assuming that that is still the case.
She did make a comment when we were over there
Mhm.
that her plans were still to resign.
Right. So I'm assuming that is still the case. So that leaves Rosemary and Jerry. We're asking you plans.
Good looking.
I'm disappointed that Melissa at least didn't communicate definitively that it was still her intention to not continue her term, because she would have received the board packet and all of that, and I had reached out to the board chair to see if she had heard from Melissa, and said no, and you've indicated no. So without knowing that, it's my intention right now to continue.
What do you mean without knowing that? Is it contingent on whether she does or doesn't?
Well, honestly, I had thought that if I mean, it's no secret that
Carol wants you off this board.
Don't drink her Kool-Aid, Jerry.
But if Melissa was going to leave, I would not do that to the board. Because long ago, I thought I had my replacement, but you remember I told you that, but circumstances developed that I called on him sooner to fill a vacancy.
Yeah.
So no, right now I plan to continue.
Well, we're gonna hold you to that. Did you get that in minutes, Linda?
Yeah.
Okay.
I put it in capital letters.
Okay, good.
And in parentheses, I instructed him not to drink Carol's Kool-Aid.
Okay, where's that binding contract?
Funny.
Okay, Rosemary.
I will continue.
Woo! All right, both of you, yes. All right,
All right.
well, with that said, I feel like I need to go ahead and start looking in Siskiyou. Agreed? I mean, I'll reach out again and ask.
And ask.
Yeah,
You could, it doesn't hurt,
Yeah.
he told you twice already.
Yeah,
Once officially and once
Yes.
just
Yeah.
in a
yes,
conversation.
exactly, yeah. Okay.
All right. Moving on to reports. 7.1 is enrollment and attendance report, which is in our packets.
And in doing that search to reach out to her,
Mhm.
if that's the case, because she indicated when we were there that, oh, wow, I have the opportunity to find a replacement and start working with them to understand what.
Oh, I didn't hear her say that. That's good to
Mhm.
know. Awesome.
Cause that was in conjunction with the whole onboarding
Okay,
discussion,
okay,
so.
good,
anyway.
good.
And I
Sorry.
think I got ahead of myself as well. I'd like to go back to the discussion items.
There's no take backs.
Well, let's add a 6.2 then. We had, decided, and it was on our calendars, that we would host our Siskiyou partners for the next meetings in October, which are the 10th and the 11th, I believe. Yes, the 10th and the 11th, a Thursday and a Friday. Without our partners here, where do we go with this?
I mean, I'll reach out to them again and see, this, of the last 4 meetings, Brianna's missed 3.
Yeah, no.
And with,
Policy.
and if Melissa isn't going to continue, I'm not sure where Brianna's gonna stand either,
Right.
because, if they are coming out next month, I'm sure that they will carpool in Melissa's car.
Right.
But I will reach out to them and, see if they are able to come in October. And if they don't, what's our plan B? Do we wanna wait till we get to board report for this, or no?
I
Well,
don't
since
know.
we
I just
brought it
put
up
it
now,
on under
uh,
discussion.
Okay.
one of the things that I've been thinking about is when they come, regardless of the status going on to December, is that I'd like us all to go around to the
Different
different
centers.
centers.
Yes,
Even if we could make it happen to go out to Bryceland,
yeah,
because.
I know, we have the answer for that, for sure.
Right, because, we talk about Bryceland a lot,
Mhm.
and we've had presentations.
Uh-huh.
Willow Creek is a different story, but, yeah, the ideal would be
Go to all of them.
to see all of them, just like when we went to
Yeah,
Siskiyou, we got
right.
to see the different ones.
Mhm.
And, that way they have a better sense of what goes on
Yeah,
this side.
yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
And the last time we did make those site visits was probably 4 years ago when we had
Well,
our.
it was
Wasp.
WASP, which
Right.
this
Uh-huh.
is year 3, cause this is our mid-year cycle review
Yes.
year. So it would have been 3
Uh-huh.
or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For us here too.
Right.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And, if not, if they're not coming, do we still want to do the 2 years and we on the Humboldt side do the site visits? Or do we on the Humboldt side want to go over there? What should we do with the next couple of meetings?
And I'm just putting this out there, Linda, this discussion is happening under 8.1 or 8.2, the next board meeting.
Yeah.
Because that fits on the agenda,
Okay.
where it wasn't agendized in this section, but
Okay.
it makes sense to do it that's fine. We're just doing things a little out of order.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, that's totally your call. It's whether or not you guys want to travel or not.
Well, I guess first, I mean, I don't mind, but first things first, we need to understand what their positions are.
Uh-huh,
Well, let me reach out to them and then once I get answers from them, I'll do a group.
Well, if they haven't really seen anything, it would make it more sense for them to come and look at what they haven't seen either.
right,
I mean, that's my vote on
Has
that.
Melissa's been here.
No, I don't
No.
think so,
No,
uh-uh,
But Bianca probably has. Because Bianca did
So, yeah.
right,
Bianca
at the
did.
very beginning.
right, the very beginning.
But I
She
don't
brought her
think-
daughters. You don't think Brianna came?
I don't think Brianna
No,
came.
Brianna was here.
Was she
I
really?
think
Yes.
they came together.
Okay.
No, I mean, when we all sat on table there and for our very first gathering in April of
Whatever.
17, 18.
Okay, because Brianna did not go to Sacramento. We
Correct.
all did,
Right,
but she
She
did
did,
not.
no,
Okay.
but yeah, that's the
Yeah,
only thing that she
okay.
missed, but she was here for the very first organization.
Okay.
And she was part of it when we went over there too.
Yeah.
And I'm with you, Jerry, whatever works for the group.
Mhm.
If they're not coming and we're not going,
Mhm. Then do we just have a regular,
I would say have a regular meeting,
do
but
we
then
leave it on the
also.
10th? Cause that's, isn't that, we moved it to a Thursday on
Thursday.
purpose, when
Uh-huh.
normally it's a Wednesday.
Uh-huh. But we might wanna take that other day, either the first day or that second day. And
Do
our
other
folks on this side.
Keep going, moving forward with business.
Mhm.
Okay, well then let me just start with asking them and then I'll get back to everybody on it.
Okay, yeah,
And then we can make a decision. Once
Okay.
we know.
all right, bouncing from 8 point something, let's
That's the-
Financial report.
let's revisit 7.1, the enrollment and attendance report, which is in our packets.
And of course, no real attendance report yet, because it hasn't been 20 days yet, so that's why it's just NA, we do attendance every 20 days.
Every 20 days.
Haven't been 20 days of school yet, but you can see our numbers are up.
Yeah.
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
That's
very impressive.
right.
And moving on to 7.2, the financial report for NU Humboldt and Siskiyou.
And it's in the packet, unless you have any questions,
In the
that's just
packet.
all the revenue and expenditures for the last month. for
And
those schools.
7.3, the director's report.
Oh, that's me.
That's you.
I need it. Very good. Okay, well, we did it. School started.
Oh, yeah.
We had Fall Summit. Thank you so much to Jerry for coming and giving his annual welcome. That is really appreciated, Jerry. That's why he was the first to get his school cup. And yeah, Fall Summit was awesome. 2 super packed days. Thanks to Rebecca for her amazing scheduling. Yes, as always. It is an impressive event. And I'm just gonna say, talking about the board members coming over here and doing the tour, we already have plans for next Fall Summit to do that. Now that we have enough vehicles for everybody, we're talking about for Fall Summit, instead of having both days, like at Sequoia, like we've been
Right.
having, instead meeting here one morning and, driving to the centers and
Yeah.
doing some stuff at the centers instead. So that'll be interesting, more to come for that. That's a year from now. I'll tell you about that later. But anyway, some brainstorming we're doing. The vehicles are all situated for Fall Summit. We purchased our vehicles even for Humboldt in Siskiyou, and Siskiyou staff drove them over to us for Fall Summit. So we now have a new minivan and a new car, Honda Accord and Honda Odyssey in the parking lot. We're working on getting decals on those like we do the vans. School year is underway. The first week of school was pretty rocky. But I would say things have settled down. Kids are starting to get into the groove, staff is getting into the groove, things are settling down. There have been staff meetings at all the centers. We've had back to school nights, luncheons, barbecues, get to know you conferences, at various events at different centers. As I said, Linda and I went over to Siskiyou last week and we were there the day before Mount Shasta had their back to school luncheon, so we were there for the preparation of it. For some reason, on the Humboldt side, our special ed population is much higher than most years. Just to give you an example, this year we had 24 new students enroll with us who have IEPs, where like last year it was 11 new students with IEPs, and that was high. So it's just been this increase. Siskiyou, just the opposite. Our special ed numbers are way down in Siskiyou for, I have no idea, why that is, but we have been working on, by we, I mean, the staff in both schools have been working on calendars of engagement activities for the year. So like Rebecca sent out a draft one, I think just today, of ones that we've been, she's been putting together. And then you guys probably saw Mount Shasta. I know Greta sends you a lot of stuff. I'm not sure if she sends you all the things or not, but she has put together, started working on kind of a year-long engagement thing for over in Siskiyou. So all of those things are coming together. And that's probably about it to report for now for the school stuff. And then I wanted to give some reminders to you guys, that there are the mandated reporter training and the sexual harassment training, which is every 2 years, but it's been 2 years now. And then the charter safe training. And so we checked today, nobody had started it yet.
But Rosemary has done the part safe.
Okay,
Oh.
so the charter safe one, okay, all right, gold star. So those need to be completed, and just as a reminder, if you didn't see the email, check your spam, but
Okay.
it comes from Northern United Charter Schools, and it's like vector training
Yeah, I have
solution
that.
or something.
K-12 training.
And then you log in, your username is just your first and last name, like normal, capital and space and stuff, and then your password is
The first 5 letters of your
first name.
or in Jerry's case, it would probably be Jerry C.
So first 5 digits.
Click on my name?
Yeah, don't.
I have to add my password every time.
Oh, I don't, because it's saved.
Maybe you say
Yeah.
that, maybe you
Oh.
say that,
It's my
yeah,
computer saved.
yeah. So just remind you about that.
So while you're looking at us,
I finished mine.
oh, I'm so proud of you. What has Siskiyou done?
Say, nobody's done it?
Oh.
You mean the Siskiyou board members?
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's done it.
Because you were kind of singling us out. What is your only ones here?
I don't think I'll look it up.
And then Brown Act training, thank you, Brian, for getting right on that. I got him registered in the Brown Act conflict of interest training, because you guys remember, I sent an email out about this in the first year of your terms. And I haven't heard back from Brianna about this, because this is still the first year of her term, and so I haven't heard back from her yet about signing her up. And then fingerprints. I
Yeah.
think you have the form there, so Brian, to be fingerprinted.
Who would I give that to? Oh, Kelly, back there?
No,
No?
when you
Take that form with you when you go get fingerprinted, and they'll actually keep a copy of it and
Oh.
write your ATI number on it.
Yeah.
So I just go to like the sheriff's or.
Scrapper's Edge.
Oh, Scrapper's
They
Edge.
do it, yeah,
Oh.
yeah, or, yeah, there's a variety of places, I think Post Haste and Arcata does it,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
but Scrapper's Edge is pretty easy.
Oh,
And
I
then
didn't know they did
you
it.
don't actually have to bring us anything back, like Kelly
Right,
said, we
right.
get to.
Yeah, I've done this
basically- yeah.
before, yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for doing that, and that's it for me.
Nice. Any questions or comments to Sherry? All right. Moving on to 4.5, the Northern United Humboldt report, which is in our packet. Looks great as
And
always.
did you notice how it was broken down by goal?
Oh, yes, I noticed. Are there any questions or comments for Rebecca? She's the gal. Okay,
I just think it was, really great. Of course, I was pleased to see the comments about and related to the goals. It's just that's really clever.
It just makes so much sense.
Right, well, it's again, it's like, each year we
Yes.
keep thinking, hear different things, input, and it's like, oh, that's really great, and I was glad to see the pictures of the from the junior auction, livestock auction, which if anybody would be interested, I have a whole lot
I
more
was gonna say, I
pictures.
think they're your photos.
Yeah.
I said, oh,
Right, and on the one,
oh, yeah.
it's like, I wasn't bashful about walking in
Nice.
front of the crowd, along the fence, taking the pictures and going in and out of the gates and just
That's funny.
glomming onto him while he's waiting for the process to play out. And after they leave the ring, then they wait their turn to get a photo with the buyer. And what's gonna be fantastic is next year's program will have his picture, and if you, I mean, it's an elaborate sales booklet where they feature pictures of the supreme champions, followed by the grand champions, and then reserve champions. And so his picture is going to be first and foremost on that program. And it's very color glossy.
Wow.
It's really nice. And I wanted to make a point of there. I have one picture where he's turned, so I can get the wagon with the chickens in it, but also Northern United on.
That's awesome.
I was wondering, cause I'm like, the one picture, it's hard to see, but that's.
Right, and so, there's so many more where, he's featuring,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and that, and of course, I would have, come to realize all of that anyway, because as a past chairperson of the committee, we get tickets to go every year, and so we do. But the day before, Sherry had sent me the pictures of the placard,
Those were the ones Jory sent me.
and then we met up with the family and all of that, and I happened to have the opportunity to see Bill, FFA advisor, teacher, and talk to him. So it was really nice, and I feel honored that I had that opportunity. And I had the opportunity. I'm gonna make copies. I will make copies of the ones that I took, and then be able to give them to the family.
Nice.
So, anyway.
Thanks for doing that, Jerry. Any other comments or questions? And moving on to 7.5, the Northern United Siskiyou report that Kirk puts together. Another fantastic report. Anything to add, Kirk, or questions for him?
Nothing to add. I'm sure
Thank
we'll
you for
have plenty
doing
more
it.
for next time.
Good. We enjoy reading it. Any other questions or comments? All right. 7.6 is the board report. Jerry, anything to share?
Just that, I took the opportunity to go to the fall summit the first morning and, participate in a little, exercise. And,
We got to judge, Jerry and I got to be judges of a contest.
yeah, and then got to say some words to the group, seeing some familiar faces, and use my teacher's voice. It was a lot of fun. It's just so nice to be able to do that, and I just wish them the best. And I gave a little shout out to social studies teachers.
Oh, yeah.
Was wearing a plaid shirt,
Oh.
a little very subtle, and I enjoyed it. Glad to do it.
Brian, anything to share?
The only thing I would share is basically, I enjoy being on the board and learning.
And you're gonna do that Brown Act training.
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
and
I'm
report back
looking
after
forward
that.
to any kind of, yeah.
Good, thank you. And I have a couple of things. First off, I do want to thank Jerry for representing the board at the fall summit. As I move forward with all of this, I like for us to be visible, not just invisible to the people that we are representing and whatnot. So thank you, Jerry. I would like to apologize to Rebecca for not being at your back to school night. I try to be visible and whatnot. I don't believe that I got anything with the date, otherwise it would have been on my calendar.
We have VLCs, it's 19.
Yeah, it is, yes, uh-huh.
That's a good one.
Yeah. What's in the board?
So the dates for the ELC.
Yes,
Yeah, that was
yes.
the barbecue.
And that's anyway, I am sorry, because as you know, I do try to be.
I'm not gonna
Visible.
make you feel worse, but I wonder.
Uh-huh.
I'm starting hot dogs.
Oh.
That's for sure.
And see, and I went back after I saw the board report, and I thought, how can I have missed this? It's not on my calendar. So,
Me sometimes.
uh-huh, you just purposely did that, but that's okay. I'd like to encourage the board also, if you are in town and available, to attend the Eureka Learning Center's back to school night. It's amazing how many people really talk to us. And parents and new parents and like the high schoolers.
Well, that's actually not that very far from me, cause I'm like there on Little Fairfield and you guys are just like
Yeah.
3 or 4
Yeah.
blocks.
Yeah, you should.
So
you should
I
really-
plan on doing.
Good. Because again, I think it's important that we are visible and as a board goes, I think that we really are.
Yeah.
So, thank you for listening to me vent. Moving on to 8.1, possible agenda items.
Fire monkey lease.
Fire monkey race.
Maybe, policy.
Yeah. I actually, I have a list, but I didn't bring it in here with me. I don't know what else is on there. I'm trying to think what else was on that. I don't know.
Will be a surprise to us.
It'll be a surprise.
Surprise.
I'll surprise you.
There we go. Oh, and again.
Well, we don't know where it's even gonna be or all that.
That's right, that's right.
That's, you know what, that is what I have on my list. the two things that we haven't, the evaluation,
Mhm.
the board.
The board
and
evaluation.
Figuring out my
Mhm.
tool. That's what I have on the poster.
Yes.
That's in that October meeting.
Uh-huh, and we had
Yeah.
tabled those
Because
Board.
Exactly.
because we'd
Exactly.
be together.
together.
Yeah,
Yes.
and those ones I was feeling would be like the second meeting.
Uh-huh.
You know, like we'd have our regular board
Right.
business meeting
Right.
and
Right.
then, mhm.
Mhm.
Yep.
And I know you said that I can't bounce back, but I'm gonna bounce back to the board report.
You can bounce back to items you can't take back saying you're gonna continue on the board.
Oh, I
That's what
see.
there's no take.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I think she's reiterating that for you.
I'm reiterating it for both of them.
That's
Um,
funny.
I would like, on behalf of the three of us, to thank you all for our mugs.
Oh, yes.
Yes, thank you. Yes, looks nice.
So I'm all about, I wanna go to 8.1. You wanna say possible agenda items.
Yes,
So I'm all about planting seeds when it comes to doing things, and whether that be a small discussion, a big discussion, or a future discussion. I want to come back to at some point of where we want to see the school with a kitchen. I know I'm probably going to continue to ask this every other board meeting or something, because I really feel like we can grow as a board. I've seen, people in the community move, Rebecca's church moved from that building to all that. They made changes, and I've seen growth in that area. So I know that it's possible that we can do this. It's just a matter if, when, it's, and what kind of board we have and how the enthusiasm of what we want to do. So that's something I would like to talk about, whether it be a small agenda item, just a discussion to see where we want to do this, how we implement, timeline. Of course, there's gonna be a lot of discussions so many times, because, moving and changing or doing things, how we're gonna do this, it's huge, but it's possible. So I just want to plant that seed that I really feel like there's so much room to grow. And I'd like to continue within the next 5-10 years to see that a reality for this school, because I figured you guys got the FFA going. Why not add a culinary, do something, that really makes it grow, because really, you never, as a person, you always want to grow every day. And I think we can do that. And as a board, you learn, you relearn. That's one thing sometimes as a board member that you relearn. That's what I mean. That's my belief, is that just because you learn something, it doesn't hurt to relearn. And I feel like that we can relearn some things that we've forgotten. And just that I really feel like there's plenty of room to grow.
and piggybacking on that, when you are out and about in the community and driving along, keep your eyes peeled for property.
Oh, I am. I'm already doing that. Been kind of talking with people, just kind of. Well, no, it's really, it's interesting because I even have some ideas of like how we would fundraise, because I'm actually helping the Moose Lodge. Because I'm helping them make money. I'm actually having, hopefully we're having a big huge food truck event. This is our first time doing it, and that's making money. And actually your sister wants to be part of it too. Yes, she commented on that. So we're trying to make that date work so she can be there. But yeah, we're trying to do stuff like that. But that's what it'd be kind of something in the near future. That would be an awesome fundraiser. Get a bunch of food trucks involved somewhere, somebody, a land, where you say, oh, can we use your land? And do something like that, and you're making money. Thinking about new fundraising, how you would do like that. That's just, not reinventing the wheel, but kind of moving forward and just really thinking of new ideas.
Putting some new hubcaps on the wheel.
Right, yeah, exactly. There you go.
Good,
So that's my little seed for the day.
all right, thank you. And moving on to 8.2, our next board meeting will be on Thursday, October the 10th, and possibly Friday, October the 11th. Location to be determined. And at this time, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. And I am going to adjourn the meeting at 5:21.